Hey everyone, I am Alexa Waco from Soho Teen. I am really excited today to be talking about some of our fall 2021 YA titles, as well as including a preview for spring and summer 2022. So let's jump in. First up is The Problem with the Other Side by Kwame Ivery. This is a searing young adult debut by high school English teacher Kwame Ivery that follows the joyous complexities and heartbreaks of an interracial romance between high school sophomores that blossoms during a volatile school election. And that school election does mirror some of the politics that teens will have faced, especially in the last, 4 to 6 years. Yuli would rather watch old westerns with his new girlfriend Sally than get involved in his school's politics. Why focus on the bad and the ugly when his days with Sally are so good? His older sister Regina, though, feels quite differently. She is fed up with the way white school body presidential candidate Leona Walls talks about Black students in their school. Regina decides to run against Leona for exactly that reason, and she convinces Yuli to be her campaign manager. Even though he kind of wants to stay out of it, he wants to support his sister too. This is a dual POV novel, so we also get Sally's POV. Sally has no interest in managing her sister's campaign either, but when she asks, Sally feels pressured to say yes. After their parents' death, Leona is practically her only family. Even after Leona is accused of running a racist campaign that targets the school's students of color, including Sally's boyfriend, Yuli, Sally wants to give her sister the benefit of the doubt. But how long can she ignore the ugly truth behind Leona's actions? So the novel follows Yuli and Sally as together and apart. They must navigate sibling loyalty and romantic love, even while the campaign spirals towards a devastating conclusion. And that brings up a good point because I don't want to mince words. Well, this is a book about romance and a high school relationship. It does broach really difficult topics that, again, mirror some of the things that teens will be seeing in their everyday lives, on the news, on social media. There are acts of racism and bigotry depicted in this novel, as well as a major act of gun violence. Kwame Ivery wraps it all into a serious treatment of what contemporary teens face on a day-to-day basis, joys and heartbreaks included. And before I move on to our next book, I do want to include kind of the blurb from School Library Journal to give you a better sense of, what, who particularly this book might be for. And that is, this is a microcosm for a variety of issues found in the real world, a romance that raises uncomfortable yet very necessary questions. This is an excellent book for discussion and purchase in young adult collections. So that is the words of School Library Journal, and that is The Problem with the Other Side by Kwame Ivery. Next up, we have The Reckless Kind by Carly Heath, which is another young adult debut that we're so excited to have on our list. This is an historical YA novel set in turn of the century Norway, but it is a queer historical YA that centers a wild and reckless trio of teenagers who defy their small town tradition. The book is full of compassion, love, and determination on the part of the characters to live the lives of their own choosing. The year is 1904, and the setting is an island just west of Norway. And our main character, Asta Hedstrom, doesn't want to marry the man she is betrothed to, whose name is Nils. She has been pressured into it by her mother, who believes that Asta should be grateful for the possibility of any domestic future, given her single-sided deafness, unconventional appearance, and even stranger notions about how she wants to live her own life. Those notions are that Asta would rather spend her life performing in the village theater with her fellow outcasts, her best friend Gunnar Fugelstad, whose unconventional lower-class family Asta has always longed to be a part of, and his secret boyfriend, the wealthy Erland Fournier. The situation takes a dire turn when Nils, Asta's fiance, lashes out in jealousy of Asta's close friendships, gravely injuring Gunnar in a fight. At this point, Asta shuns marriage for good, and the trio of friends decide to move in together, making a found family of their own. With few ties left to their families, they have one shot at gaining enough money to secure this way of life for themselves. That is win the village's annual horse race. And I will say, for any fans of books that involve equestrian things or horses or animals in general, this is definitely the book for you. It has kind of a little cottagecore element. Despite Gunnar's increasing misgivings about this scenario, Asta and Erland intend to prove that their arrangement will succeed. Asta decides to train as a blacksmith, something that is extremely uncommon during her time, except for the fact that Gunnar's own mother was their blacksmith before she passed away before the events of the book. Ireland cares for a recovering gunner who has begun to deal with an increasing depression as a result of kind of the various stresses in their lives. As race day approaches, the villagers' hateful ignorance only grows stronger, presenting even more conflict for the characters to kind of fight against. This is a must-have for anyone looking to address the dearth of books that center queer characters in historical fiction. Though she doesn't have a name for it, Asta explores her own asexuality over the course of the novel, as both Gunnar and Ireland navigate how to love one another when so few understand and accept them in their relationship. Despite its historical nature, this is really for anyone, any kind of reader who has had to fight to live the life of their own choosing. So I do want to leave you with that. So please check out The Reckless Kind by Carly Heath. Next up, I'm going to jump into spring 2022, and I have a really awesome and unique YA book to present, which is The Color of the Sky as the Shape of the Heart by Chesil. This is a really unique YA book because we're bringing it into translation into English for the first time. Originally titled Ginny's Puzzle in Japanese, this is an award-winning debut that broke literary ground in Japan for its exploration of diaspora, prejudice, and the complexities of one teen girl's experience growing up as Korean in Japan. This is it's a funly structured novel. It's very slim. It's about 30,000 words. I don't have it in front of me, but it's the kind of book that you can read if you so choose in 1 or 2 sittings, especially if you get wrapped in. And it is arranged as a series of diary entries, and it's a very confessional first-person narrative written by 17-year-old Ginny Park. While she keeps the reader at somewhat of a distance at first, you slowly piece together the pieces of her life, which is, first of all, you learn that she has fled her native Japan. She is currently in Oregon, and she is about to get expelled from high school again. Stephanie, who is her pseudo foster mother in Oregon and a picture book author who took Ginny into her home, she isn't really upset with Ginny for this. She only wants to know why this keeps happening. What you learn is that Ginny has always been in between, and she can't really bring herself to open up to anyone about her past or about what prompted her to flee. Then, among the scraps of paper and drawings of Stephanie's stories, Ginny finds a mysterious note that changes everything for her. And that note says, "The sky is about to fall. Where do you go?" That is the question the book answers. Where is home for Ginny? What does belonging mean for someone like her who has always been in between and really hasn't fit in anywhere she's gone? In witty and brutally honest vignettes and interspersed with old letters from her expatriated family in North Korea, Ginny recounts her adolescence growing up Zainichi in Japan as Korean, and the incident that forced her to leave years prior. Inspired by her own childhood, author Chesil creates a portrait of a girl who has been fighting alone against barriers of prejudice, nationality, and injustice her whole life, and one who is just simply searching for a place to belong, which I think universally a lot of teens will connect to that idea. I would say this is equally of interest to readers who have no knowledge of the historical context of Korean citizens in Japan, who are Japanese citizens, and as well as those readers who find themselves represented in these pages. This is, like I said, a bite-sized book, but it packs a huge emotional punch at, equally raw and honest and really funny at some points, and just really, really embodying a unique voice. And it is also reminiscent of Min Jin Lee's classic Pachinko, as well as Sandra Cisneros' The House on Mango Street. So anyone for whom that kind of really resonates, I would definitely recommend checking out The Color of the Sky is the Shape of a Heart. Anyone looking for unique narrators and strong and unique voices, I would also really recommend this one too. So that is The Color of the Sky is the Shape of the Heart by author Chesil. Lastly, I'm going to throw it over to one of our authors so she can talk about her book in her own words. So without further ado.
My name is Francesca Padilla, and I'm so excited to tell you about my debut young adult novel, What's Coming to Me, from Soho Teen on August 2nd, 2022. What's Coming to Me is a story of a girl named Minerva Gutierrez who's going through a lot. Her mom's been in and out of the hospital, she's kicked out of school, lost all her friends, and in her mind, all she's got is this crappy job at this local ice cream stand that's way shadier than it looks. One day, there's a robbery while Min is at work, which sparks rumors about her shady boss and money being hidden somewhere on the property. And it becomes this mystery as to whether the money's really there, will Min and her friends find it, and could it be her sort of ticket out of this dead-end town as she sees it. What I find really special about this book is that it has a little bit of everything. There's mystery, family, friendship, romance, comedy, all centering on the coming of age of the protagonist Min as she navigates the world. It's so diverse and it feels so real, and I'm not just saying that because I wrote it. But you might like this book if you're drawn to stories about grief that also make you laugh, quirky settings, underdogs, regular dogs, there's a pit bull, workplace comedy, and unlikely heists. I would add a content warning for grief, sexual harassment, and substance use if you're looking out for that sort of thing. And I truly think this story has a little bit of for everyone, and I cannot wait for it to be available in libraries and communities all over on August 2nd, 2022. Thank you.